Okay, good to go, he says. All right, we're going to get back to the glazing, he says. He finds the glaze medium. So let's see how this is working today. If I put that here, you should be able to see it, right? Yes, glaze medium. And I gave these horses a dull coat yesterday, and the tester's dull coat did awful things to them. So I'm gonna see if I can't glaze away the sins. So go back to the same Cavalry brown and mahogany brown mix I had. I think if I put these here, I might be able to see them in my dark mahogany. And see how we go. So I'm just going to mix these up and put the tiniest of bits in the glaze. Changing the palette so you can see what's going on here. Last stream I was talking all about the palette, showing the palette, and that's way too much, so I got to do that a second time. Way too much pigment. So there we go. So with this glaze, I just wanted to, there we go. I'll pull a lot off, and then see, here's the awful crimes that were committed. So I'm gonna just, hopefully the dull coat will, yeah, it will disappear. It frosts up if things are wet, and I thought these were dry. I hit them with the heat gun, and crazy things happened with the dull coat. But luckily, it's such a thin coat that I'm just gonna hit the whole mule with the glaze, and the texture really came through on this model. I'm kind of happy with that. There's not a lot more. I'm leaving the muzzle a little bit tinted. I like this. This mule's muzzle came out nice. There's just enough brown on it and not too much light. But the other mule, I need to put a tiny bit of glaze on his muzzle. So again, this first coat is just putting a tiny thin coat of glaze everywhere to even out what the dull coat did to it. I put the dull coat on to try to freeze the ink glaze. Ink glaze kept dissolving. The glaze medium didn't quite freeze it to the model. So I've done it. I've put a little glaze on the bottom of that. I didn't mean to. So, but for the most part, other than that, what we're going to do today is we're going to finish up the glazing of the mules, work on the muzzles and the eyes, and then all these straps on the bags. That's the project for today, and that'll get them done, I think. I hope. And there we go. I'm going to drag this away from there. There we go. So these are WizKids mules, and they're nice figures. They got a lot of stuff on them, and I've gone for a darker bottom of the legs, grayish on the ears, and a white muzzle. That's the mule look I'm looking for according to my research. My research is a 10-minute search on YouTube's image search, so it is what it is. Alright, so that guy's ready to start. Well, hopefully that glaze will dry as we go along. And so this one you can see that the muzzle's a little too light, so first thing I'm going to do is glaze up a little more glaze, and you can see that on that white, that's how little glaze I have on there, just a tiny bit. That's good, I like that. It's better, and then again glaze the whole model because the dull coat did crazy things to it. I don't like spraying dull coat on wet things. I let these dry overnight, and I hit them with a heat gun. That ink was still a little damp, so lesson learned next time. If I do inks on stream, I'm going to have to take a day off in between before I do any kind of coatings on them. I love inking horses straight over zenithal, or in this case I did white prime because I thought I was going to do white bellied. Got a little bit of glaze where I didn't want it. Let it leave. But I thought I was going to do white bellies because some mules have white bellies, and in this case I decided that probably we'd be better off going with the dark. Some mules have dark legs and some have light ones. I went with the dark legs, kind of as a, by the time I get to the painting table thing. And hey, thanks for the host, Craig. Appreciate it. I'm relatively new to this, but very much appreciate it. Thank you. How was your stream? So anyways, I'm just going over the whole model here, getting just one last glaze on the legs and the bodies, tying all the colors together, and then I'm gonna do some light glazing to bring these muzzle tones up into the eyes, and unify these faces a little bit, and then we're gonna work on the packs. And the pack stripping is gonna be fun. So. Got some ideas on how I want to do that. I'm going to start them off with a wash, and it's going to help define the kind of the black lining. I'm going to wash each pack a little differently. I'm just going to mix up some different washes here and bring out some of the details, and then I'll pick out some highlights and some straps, and I might do the highlights and hopefully between the three of them. Okay, so he's looking pretty good. I'm not too unhappy with him, and just checking to see if I'm on camera here, and it looks like I'm not. So I'm gonna adjust that so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. How about that? All right, so there we go. How's that? That's better. Okay, so just a tiny bit less. All right, last of the seasickness. Sorry about that, folks. Takes me a second to get this all lined up. It's tricky painting only one area. So I'm not too thrilled with this little white spot on the back of these forelocks, and I'm just going to take a tiny bit of paint, just darken that up a little bit, and I'll come back later and blend it in with a little dark. I'm going to have some dark at some point on the palette. I'll remember to do that. Okay, so I got two of these. They're looking pretty good. General mule look is good. I like the tone, I like the hairiness, and I gotta start working on some straps, and I want to blend a little bit of this white a little bit higher up in the face, and I want to just put some highlights around the eye sockets because a lot of them have that. So I'm gonna grab some more glaze on my palette, which is no longer in camera. So a little more glaze on my palette, and done with that one, done with that one. And then I'm gonna go with, not the silver gray, I'm gonna go with, oh nice, I appreciate it, Craig, thank you. I'm super new at this. This is, stream number 4 for me, and I got some stream gear coming, but this is just on my phone, so. It's rookie gear. I don't know how good the mic picks up, but that was my wife upstairs laughing her ass off. She heard stream gear coming, and she's like, "Yeah, it started." Another hobby for him. But it's the same hobby. I'm just painting along with some friends. They happen to be on the internet. So, anyways, appreciate the host, Craig. Really do. It's fun just to get one. All right, so there's some white. And I need to put this on something dark so I can see how good the glaze is coming. So here's an old card. That looks pretty good. Not too bad. That purple. So what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to just glaze around these eyes a little bit. And a lot of donkeys have these almost raccoon eyes. And that brush is too big for what I want to do. So I want to get something with a point. something with a point. Here we go. So again, I'm just glazing just around the eyes, and so they kind of look like, if you do a Yahoo search, they kind of look like raccoons. They just have these big, these white spots around their eyes, and I don't want it to be, you know, stark. I just want it to be subtle. So this is going to be just a couple passes. That's too much water on it. Just there we go. Just a couple passes. I'm not going to get too crazy about it. I just want to lighten up that area just a tiny bit. And I'm also going to use this white to kind of drag that white up into the nose a little bit. So, thanks for the encouragement, Craig. I really appreciate it. It's amazing. I had a couple friends that are computer gamers stop in the stream last night, and one of them is interested in mini painting. And just having someone here to talk to while I paint is a lot different than, you know, when I paint someone's streams on like Aid or some of the others. You know, you type every once in a while, but you get your hands on the paint brushes, and it's a little harder to interact. Here, when you're the streamer, you can talk and you can paint and talk at the same time. So it's not too bad. That's too much liquid. So this whole glazing thing I learned from the streamers. I'm new to it. These are experimental figures to try it out. And it's super subtle, but it's working. And I'm not too unhappy with it. There's a fine line between having enough fluid on the brush and having too much. And I still don't know what that is yet. So this looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm going to bring that up. So this nose, I'm kind of happy with that. I did the glazing this way with it, pulled the pigment away from the nose, and that nose looks pretty good. I'm not going to mess with the light on that too much. And this one is better. It's a little lighter, but I don't think the noses need much. I just want to go around the eyes a little bit. I keep dropping my brush out of the frame that's too much. There we go. All right, I'm gonna let that dry. I'll come back and do a couple more passes. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I wanna do some washes, and I don't wanna do a wash that's the same color as these faces. I wanna do an earthy wash, but I don't wanna do the same color. Now I have my classic brown wash that I like to use, and this is a wash I make with Future floor polish, but it's going to take too long to dry on stream. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with, I don't want to do Devlin Mud, that's a little too dark. So I think what I'll do is I'll take some Devlin Mud and I'll thin it out. And I'll get that brown, but I don't want it to look like big chunky pieces of mud. I just want just a hint of texture on these packs. And so I'll put that in there. That's more than enough. And then I like to add just a touch of Flow Aid from Liquitex, and that's enough of that. And then some water. So now we're thinning it out, and so we don't lose the body. Our favorite, the glaze. And I'm hoping that that's going to give me a brown wash that will do a good job on these light tan packs. And just, it's not bad. It's muddy and dirty, and I kind of want that. These guys are walking on the horses. At the very end, I'm going to spatter up some actual mud. I'm going to use some pigments and stuff, but just add a little bit of that, a little bit more brown to it. I'm going to splatter some pigment mud on it, you know, like it's been kicked up from the horse's hooves. But this is going to muddy the color quite a bit, and I'm going to come back with the original color, and I'll re-highlight it after I draw the straps in. And I'm going to do a black wash on that. I can do this muddy wash on the salmon color here, and definitely on this sandy brown. And I put a real heavy dry brush on this. Kind of looked like it grabbed the brunt of the dust from the road. And this one I want a darker wash on, so I'm going to wait and wash that with something different. This is a cold color here. I probably could have used a black wash, but I'll use this brown. And I'm going to use the pure Devlin on the brown stuff. So this is pretty good. So yeah, I don't know if you're still here, Craig. I heard Aid mention on a stream that he might stream today, and I was like, wow, if Aid streams, I can paint along with Aid. And then I heard that he wasn't gonna, so I thought, well, I still want to paint, so I'll fire mine up and see how it goes. So, all right, so that's not bad with that. I like to blow and get the bubbles out of stuff, and I need a tiny bit more of the Devlin. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the Devlin on that top pack, that brown pack, like I said, straight out of the pot while I'm in here. And I'll be very careful about not putting too much in. Yeah, that's the right color for that. And again, I'll come back and do the straps and then the highlights and bring this color back in a minute. You don't really, I'm trying not to wash as the last step. I'm trying to follow tips I heard on paint casts, and I think Samson Art said that, don't wash last. So I wash last a lot of my figures. It's a quick, nice, easy thing. For wargaming figures, you need to do a lot of them, but if I'm going to stream, I thought I should do things the quote-unquote right way. In other words, don't use my wargaming shortcuts. Alright, so I want to mix up some more of that part Devlin, part glaze, part water mix that I had before. And I had a little bit of this in there. And I want to get a little bit of Flow Aid. This bottle is, you don't use very much of this, so a bottle lasts your lifetime. I've been painting, 20 some odd years, almost 30 years, and that's the original bottle. Use a drop or two at a time. I have another bottle that I use to thin my paints that has 1 part Flow Aid, 5 parts water, because that's the ratio. But I'm doing the 1 part 5 part with my brush and the water here for this little mini mix. Here we go. I think that's about the same as the other one. So. And here we go. So just drop that on and give it a shot. So just gonna muddy these up a little bit. See how it goes. That's not bad. All right. Same thing here. Yeah, that's fine. This is good. So, grab the wash. Break the bubbles. And one more up top here. There we go. No problem, Craig. Thanks for stopping by. It's all good. Gotta take care of the kiddos. Holiday weekend and all, I'm sure they're bouncing off the walls, being out of school for 4 days. Actually, that's assuming that you're not a UK. You might be UK, in which case it's just a normal weekend. They're still bouncing off the walls because they're kids. All right. But anyways, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the host. All right, and then the darker parts, okay with glaze, we'll bring that back later. We're okay with Mojave, we're okay with Devlin. In the darker areas, we've got a couple of grays here. We'll do just regular old non oil straight out of the pot. And again, we'll straight out of the not so well designed pot, and we're just hitting these really dark pieces with that. That's all. And just to bring out the details, I don't think I'd use as much of that as I just did. So this giant bundle that looks like a pumpkin, I'm trying to make them absolutely not look like pumpkins. So I went with non-pumpkin colors and trying to darken them up and just make them as unpumpkin-like as possible. And this here, I said I was going to darken up, so here we go. Nice. So, Loopy, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. You're the best. So now you're seeing me paint my minis. And I'm doing some pack mules. These are from a company called WizKids. And I'm going to use them for a historical game as, baggage carriers for the, military supplies and whatever. But they can be used for D&D or fantasy or, whatever. They're pretty cool. So I'm having fun with it. So thanks for the follow. Hey, Spooky's here too. Yeah, who's AJ? I only know Chugs. Yeah, this is the artist also known as Chugs. Most of my gaming buddies, non-online gaming buddies, know me as AJ. That's a family nickname, and so yeah, Chugs is a online game alias, or the Shy Mount. Yeah, this is actually a mule, not a donkey, but close enough. Certainly, I could get a donkey and put a Shy on it. I've been thinking about doing some game theme miniatures. I've been thinking about doing. I make terrain. I was thinking about doing some of the buildings from Tariff, from Black Desert, because they look very medieval and I could use them in medieval games. I've also been thinking about doing some of the soldiers from the Foxhole, kind of World War I, World War II game. And kind of crossover, right? You combine the miniature painting I like with the games I like. And I haven't done that yet, but there's definitely some things I could do. I think that people would like seeing their online game assets, figures and terrain and stuff, in miniature form. I think that would be a neat draw, and it'd be fun for me too. So the next thing I'm going to do is paint all of these straps, and I'm not going to paint the straps on the packages yet because I just made all that stuff wet. So I'm going to start with the horse bridles and the horse gear, and I need to pick a nice color for that contrasts with this color. And I think what I want to use is a nice earthy brown, and my favorite earthy brown is flat earth. Yeah, right now I'm actually broadcasting. You can see in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. Let's see if I can point it out here on my video. Right here on the screen, you can see here it says Camerify. I'm using an app on my phone. I've actually got Stream Gear coming, and once I get the Stream Gear, I can use one of the stream overlay systems. There's half a dozen of them. I haven't picked one yet. And I can do all that fancy stuff with, dancing miniatures every time someone follows and notifications. And I like that thing called Blurp. One of the streams has Blurp, and every time one of your followers comes on, they can play a sound. And like my follow-on sound is the Rickroll, the Rick Astley. And it's funny, the streamers that use Blurp, they know who their viewers are from the Blurp sounds. And so instead of looking up at the chat when you come in, I can have whatever it is that you want as your sound. This is John Cena or whatever. Everybody has a funny thing. Oh, flat earth forehead concept. Yeah, well, it's a flat color and it's an earth tone, but yeah, they were definitely tongue-in-cheeking this one for sure. And I'm looking at this flat earth on this horse, and it's not doing it for me. You see, that color isn't different enough. So this might be for the packages, I'll leave it out, but it's not good for the horse bridle. So I've got to go with something darker, and I'm going to go with leather brown. That's a little less fancy of a name. But we'll go with leather brown. Who'd have thunk? I'm painting leather brown. I don't always use the colors that they specify for what they specify, but in this case, maybe it's a good idea. Typically, my horses are too dark. In fact, I'm going to look in this. I may not even put this on the horse. Let's see if this shows up or not. I was really kind of hoping to avoid. Well, that's nice and subtle. I think I might like that. Yeah, leather. Yeah. You can get lured into thinking, oh, well, this says leather, and it's, I should use it for leather. And sometimes they're spot on. Steel, things that are steel. There's a paint color called steel, and it's what I use for steel. So again, this color is not. It's not dark enough to be dark. I don't want to go black, so I think I've got to go with a red leather. And I have got Cavalry Brown, which is a brick red leather. It's pretty fancy for a pack mule. Pack mules would have, you know what? I changed my mind. I don't want to go with a fancy red leather. They're pack mules. I'm going to go with a charcoal brown, a dark leathery brown. Charcoal black, which is a leathery black, or maybe I have a dirty black that's even good. This German gray seems to be even darker. I'm going to go with German gray, make it look like black leather. So I just don't like the idea of putting fancy leather straps on pack mules. It just doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to put a lot of water in this to let it flow, because I've got to do a lot of stripes. And I just got a ton of paint in the thoroughly with my paintbrush, which is a no-no. Okay, and is this my favorite lining brush? No, it isn't. Let me get a good lining brush. There we go. This is a nice lining brush here. So let's see if we can manage to put some lines on this without messing it up. So yeah, I have to admit, I am very impressed with visual arts. I kind of consider this like paint by numbers. Everything's on the figure. I'm not doing anything that's too creative. So this is more a dexterous skill than a creative art. Picking the colors is something that is artful, and I am by far not very good at it. There's people that I know that are really kind of color masters, and all their stuff always looks fantastic. And they're good technical painters, but their color selection is where the art comes in. And I look at that and I go, wow, if I'd have thought to do those two colors, my figures would look so much better. And, sometimes you copy the sample art from the manufacturer. Sometimes, I'm lucky with historical figures, sometimes you don't have much of a choice. The colors are what they are. If I paint a guy from the Civil War, I know what color his uniform is. I don't have to get too crazy with that, right? So these straps are not very wide, they're not very big. I'm going to probably mess some of them up and see how it goes. So Mrs. AJ's Wargaming Painting is showing up, guys. Say hi to the stream.
Hi, stream.
There's 3 people watching.
Holy shit.
Yeah, plus me. They're all my gaming buddies from online. So
10 a.m. delay so far.
Hey, and I don't have to work tomorrow. We just got the word that the snowstorm has closed the university I work for. So
Delay.
Well, delay for now, but the storm's going to last 2 days. So I'm thinking that
they're gonna call it tomorrow.
they wanted to reserve their options to open late if the storm peters out. But I get to sleep in tomorrow, and if they close the whole day, I get to paint toy soldiers all day. That'll be nice. Maybe I'll have a stream tomorrow. So tomorrow, if I have a stream, I'm going to be painting these guys here. these are, let me see if I can see these on the camera. These are French Napoleonic generals, and so they're pretty fancy guys. They ride on horses. I'll do the horses on one stream and the generals, and so they're really fancy. And again, that's another one where I know what their uniforms are. The uniforms for the generals are, are blue because that's what they wore in the war. So I know exactly what they look. I'll pass the message on to her. She did a fire and forget mission. She came down. She did a shoot and scoot. She gave me the message and left, but I will pass it on. So she hasn't signed up for Twitch, but now that I'm watching this chat, if she wants to, let me know that she's going to bed or letting the dog out or going for groceries, she can just type in the chat instead of walking down 2 flights of stairs to the dungeon that I painted, which is our basement. And it's a finished basement, but it's 2 floors down from the bedroom. So I'm being a little careful here because these are tricky. And so you'll hear me hold my breath and stop talking when I do it. But yeah, so while I'm here, I see a few places where the mane got a little light, and I dry brushed it a little heavy, so I'm going to touch them up. There's a black eyeball in here. I want to put just a little bit of, make it look like an eyeball. I've done a whole bunch of coloring on it, and I rubbed off some of the eyeball color. So, and I'm assuming that mules have black, primarily black eyes like horses. Horses don't have they have a little bit of color in their eyes, I guess, but you don't really see it. If you look at a horse's eye, it's pretty much, this big black globe. And so a lot of people don't even paint the eyes on horses, but I like to because it makes it look like humans tend to project their own image onto other things, other animals. And if they can see the eyes on a horse, they identify with it. And it's funny how if you put eyes on a horse, and they have eyes, but if you do a good job at painting the eyes and make them look realistic, people really say, wow, that's a great horse model. And it might not be all that much more spectacularly painted than one without eyes. It's the eyes that make it. So, everything else has to be good too, but the eyes make it. Yeah, I do have a Discord. It's linked in the description to my channel. It should be if you look at the channel info below. I do have a Discord. I haven't done much with it, but you can sign up for it, and I haven't set many channels up. I just set it up the other night, but I'm having trouble with Instagram. Instagram's another venue that painters tend to put their latest works on, and my Instagram account somehow went bad on me. I tried to retrieve the password and it said you don't have an account. I tried to make an account and it said that email already has an account. I tried to use the email to retrieve the password for the account. It says there's no account on that email. So Instagram is completely confused about me. And so I may have to actually make a Hotmail account to make a second Instagram account just to file a support request, because Instagram doesn't do support requests unless you have an account. Go figure. Isn't that weird, huh? Seems like a broken system to me. But I guess on a system with free accounts, I'll just make another account. That'll solve the problem. All right, so I'm liking black. I think black is a good choice. Those look pretty good, right? So I'm gonna just check the back here, and there's a strap that goes over the top right here, and I saw it when I was painting this model originally, and so I'm going to paint that. And it's tricky because it's hiding underneath all this stuff, and I don't want to get paint on this other stuff. And the model is molded this way. It's not like you can put the packs, paint it and then put the packs on. The packs come on, glued on from the factory, so it is what it is. That's pretty good. Doesn't stink. And there's a couple straps up here on the top, over in your front shoulders too. Let's fix those. So yeah, so what I use is, these are just Pepsi caps, and I use, I'll show you, the cavalry guys are on Pepsi caps too, and I make this little frame. I make this little frame out of a disc of plywood and a triangle of plywood. I have a laser engraver for cutting stuff. I bought it when I made model airplanes as another hobby that I sell on the internet. And so I make these, and that way I can do the horse separate. You know, if this was a cavalry, I could glue him on the horse, and I'd have the same problem, like painting underneath his legs and stuff. This way I can paint the horse, paint the rider, break him off of the stand, glue him onto the horse. But yeah, the nice thing about the Pepsi caps, the reason why I use, I used to drink Pepsi, but the reason why I use bottle caps is, you notice how when I'm painting, I put my hands together, my heels together, so that nothing's moving. And this way I can turn the figure in my hands. And it's called a dolly or a figure holder. A lot of people use them. There's companies that make very expensive ones, but when you're painting 35 or 40 figures at a time, I'm only doing two pack mules on the stream, but when I'm doing a unit of miniatures, I might do 48 figures at a time. Well, I spend $7 per miniature holder times 48. That's real money, and it would take up a lot of space on the desk. You can see that when I paint the units, if I'm doing 48 figures, I'll lay them out, you know, side by side. I'll pick one up, do one thing on it, put it down, pick the next one up, and, you know, assembly line style. I'll do all the eyebrows on the guys, all the bayonets, all the shoes or whatever, and move on to the next one. And I'm painting them in rapid succession. I need to be able to pick them up and put them down, lay them flat. Yeah, it's not my idea. It's a great idea. It's not my idea. It was an idea that was gifted to me from the person who taught me how to paint, my uncle, who's been kind of a mentor in the hobby my whole life. And he showed me that trick. We used to drink a lot of Pepsi back in the days when he taught me this. And these Pepsi caps, some of these Pepsi caps are 25 years old. I mean, they don't make stamped metal Pepsi caps anymore, right? That's a thing of the 80s. So these are vintage 1980 Pepsi caps, collector's items. I do train all the time. Actually, since how you asked, let me go grab something I made to show you. It'll just take 1 second. It'll be fun. All right, so here's two things that I made, and we'll see if we can see them on the camera. So this is, I got to put it all the way down. Let me move my paints here. So this is a miniature cottage that I did, and for medieval or World War II. And you can see that it's got a removable roof, and that was made. You can see the bottom, all the panels. This is all made with a laser. So these individual pieces of wood are laser cut and then painted. And the roof tiles or shingles, or wooden shingles here, those were also made out of paper on the laser, which is kind of fun. And then here's a piece that is for World War II. This is a World War II German Freya radar station. And nobody makes a model of this, but I made this with the laser too, and they would have these all over the coast during D-Day, and they're fixed on the coast. They didn't spin like modern radar stations. They just ejected a beam out and received it back. And this is what they used to monitor the coast. And no one made a model of it, and I wanted one for a game, so I made it. And the mesh is that's a screen from a window screen, replacement window screen from the hardware store, and everything else was made on a laser or hand sanded. So those are a couple of terrain projects. I don't know, yeah, vintage like us, exactly. I don't know if, I don't know if, you know, how much terrain I'll do on the stream. I might paint some terrain, you know, on stream from time to time if I make it. When I get my better setup, maybe I can zoom out enough and still get the resolution to see the terrain on the screen. And, so maybe I can do it. Who knows? But so what I'm doing here is the last of these straps, and again, this is another one of those that's hidden inside what they've got for stuff. And I'm just trying to finish it up and make it look good. And there's a strap right there. It's delicate, and it's not something you want to do after you've had 2 energy drinks. That's for sure. A lot of people will have an adult beverage when they paint to keep the nerves down. You know, my diet, unless I drink a shot, you know, of hard liquor, my low carb diet doesn't really let me have a beer. So I just tend to keep low on the caffeine and try to breathe right. So that's not too bad. I'm gonna stick a little gray on that. All right, so I'm kind of happy with his straps. They're acceptable. They could be a little nicer, but it's hard doing it when you're holding it in front of a camera and talking to people. So yeah, exactly. I have another hobby that takes a lot of time. I've spent my last stream was 2 hours long to get these guys to the point that they are, and you know, this for 2 figures. Now, granted, I was doing some advanced techniques on them, and I was streaming, and I'm still learning how to stream, so you know, it wasn't very efficient. But yeah, I've got armies that might take 300 or 400 figures, and that's even on a good day. Maybe I can get a figure done an hour per figure if I do an assembly line style. So you know, that's 300 hours. That's a lot of online gaming I'm not doing. And frankly, online gaming is fun and I love it, but when you're done, you've got something digital. And when I'm done, I can go look in the closet and see, you know, thousands of toy soldiers. And not that I paint them to sell, but I buy a toy soldier for anywhere between 60 cents and $2. You know, some of them are even $5, but like these pack of mules was $5 for 2. And when I'm done painting, they're worth, you know, 10, 12 bucks a piece if you're going to buy painted miniatures. So I've got some value there, or I've saved myself some value. Plus, it's zen-like. You know, I get down here, sometimes I turn on a ball game, especially in the summer. I don't watch baseball, but I listen to a lot of baseball on the radio. I turn on a ball game and I just take out my paints and paint, and that's my happy place. I don't have to think much. And it's just as big of a time waster as any online game, and it's just as, you know, mentally relaxing. So you kind of have to, you know, you can listen to something, some people listen to audiobooks, you can listen to podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I watch other painting streams a lot, so just like this, and I'll listen to them talk. And I'll look up when they're doing something that's interesting. Like if they say, hey, I'm going to use this color here to shade this, check this out. You know, I'll look up and watch them because I got a tablet right, you know, off camera this way. And that's where I'm seeing the chat. And when I'm not on stream, that's where I'm watching whatever content I'm watching that is entertaining me while I paint. I say watch, it's mostly listen. So... But yeah, it's definitely, you know, that's why I said when I online game, I have to weigh what I'm getting out of it, and you know, am I enjoying it as much as coming down here? And that's for sure always the question. And you know, when we're doing something exciting in a game, or when I'm, you know, if I'm too shaky to paint, that's a good time to game. If I'm too tired to paint, you know, you have to. It's a physical thing, right? So I have to execute when I'm here. When I'm at the gaming table, at that computer, I can, you know, I can be physically less sharp and still have fun. And so that's kind of the decision making. That's why, you know, late night is a great time to game. I can only paint for so many hours at a time before I'm smoked. So it doesn't hurt to have multiple hobbies, that's for sure. Occasionally, you know, I burn out on this too, and I say, you know what, I need a break from painting, and you know, then you'll see me super active in the computer world. Or I'll read a book. You know, reading is another thing. This hobby has a lot of history in it, and so reading the history books and doing the research is part of the fun too. And that is not without its time commitments. So. Yeah, it's fun. You have to, you know, I've never been an artistic person. I don't think I am not crafty. You know, crafting is something I can do. You know, I can make stuff. I consider myself a maker. I like to make stuff. And painting toy soldiers is kind of like making stuff. You are turning something into something greater. So it's kind of like making. And the training part is definitely, I mean, those things you saw, they didn't exist until I made them. That was kind of rewarding. All right, so I'm looking over his tack, making sure, yeah, like I didn't miss a spot, like right there. And good. Hey, there's Bulwark. Yeah, Warhammer. There's a ton of great Warhammer painters, Bull. And you don't have to paint really great to do Warhammer. In fact, if you just want to play with your son on your kitchen table, you can do it with unpainted figures. And it's a great entry level. Just about everybody starts with science fiction or fantasy and gaming. And most people don't do this historical stuff until they get old. But I'm old. I picked these pack mules because they kind of have a crossover appeal. They could be, fantasy or medieval, so they could be used for D&D and stuff. Yeah, now you know where all your gamers are, Bull. They're all watching my stream, but I appreciate you guys stopping by. That was pretty awesome. I didn't expect anyone to stop by, but super like the support, and I like having people here to chat with. So I don't know. I probably sound completely different on the stream than I do in Discord. But the sound quality will get better once I replace this. I'm just using my phone, but once I replace that with a real streaming setup, I'll sound a little more like me. Yeah, the thing is you can, if you do this with your son, Bull, you can paint the miniatures one color. Give him a big fat paintbrush like this, and thin the paint up, and let him slop it on. And later on, when he gets older and you want to redo it, you just dip him in some simple green. All the paint comes off. You can repaint them, and you can do them in multiple colors. There's no harm, no foul. The miniatures are really forgiving about repainting. I've stripped and repainted figures that I painted, and I said, these are expensive miniatures, but I don't really like the way I painted them, and so I stuffed them in a bucket of stripper and repainted them. But yeah, no, you can also get, these are called WizKids, that's the brand, and you can get all sorts of fantasy figures, paladins and monks and archers and guys that look like they belong in Lord of the Rings and stuff, and for cheap. I mean, these figures are a couple bucks a piece. They come pre-primed, they're ready to paint. If you want to get your son playing around with his own figures, that's a real cheap way to go. Warhammer figures, the game is great. People really like it, but the figures are not inexpensive. The models are very expensive. So not an entry level. Yeah, well, if you draw, that's a great thing to stream. Art is very popular on Twitch, and that's the category this is in. I mean, I think it's more hobby than art, but it's in the art category. A little spot under here that I gotta put a little bit of wash on. All right, so all the horse gears get done. I kind of like the way they look. It's fine. So now the dreaded part of doing the straps on the packs. I am not looking forward to this at all. There's a lot of them. They're easy to mess up, and this is where it all goes to heck. So I'm thinking that I'm just going to give the illusion of these straps. The horse gear, I wanted them all to be contiguous, but these pack straps, I don't think I need to have them exact. So I'm just gonna get in here and do some nice thin paint, load up my brush, and go at it. So yeah, Loopy, there's a good amount of commission work you can get. If you're into art, there's a good amount of commission work you can get. A lot of people who post their art on the BDO forums and stuff. Some of your people that are into the game, if you just do something they really like, they'll commission you to do their a subject with their character or their class, or they'll give you a screenshot and say, hey, can you make an artist rendering of this? And that's fun, and it's real work. I was telling Loopy earlier that I was thinking about modeling some of the buildings in Tariff, and because I think their architecture would still work well for medieval settings. They're not so fantastic that I couldn't use them on in one of my games. But it would be neat to have something that was from BDO and say, well, here's like the tower that's outside of at the road junction in Tariff. that you know that's just at the road junction to the entrance of Tariff and the road. I always thought that was a really neat looking structure. It could be very, you know, it's medieval. It could be very easily, you know, put in any medieval setting, and it would be a fun thing to model. And I think I could make one of those. Oh, that makes sense. I was showing Loopy earlier some of the buildings I made on stream, and you can check that out later when this when the archive of this goes on. But I could. It is within my skill set to do something like the buildings in Tariff. I mean, the buildings in Alta Nova would be even easier, and they are even more generic. But the ones in Tariff just really jazz me up. I think that they'd be fun. So they're unique, and the Tariff tower, and I like the Tariff. I think it looks like a town hall. It's got a little, you know, not a clock tower, but it has like a little mini turret tower on top of it. It's about halfway down the road in the village. I like that building a lot too, and that would be very easily a good town hall for any medieval town. You know, that's little watchtower in it. So, and the ruined building in Mainz. Yeah, it's Germanic, exactly. And so, you know, that could be good, you know, for medieval. And there's a ruined version of one of the, oops, that was a mistake. There's a ruined version of one of the buildings in where the Mainz monsters are. And if I did a model of the good building in Tariff, it's pretty easy to make a second copy of it and make a ruined version. So that's another option. I don't know what I would use for models. I could, I'm thinking about getting a 3D printer. I was thinking that if I model up the Mainz mobs, you know, painting some of them around it would make a heck of a diorama. And that might be something someone would be interested in as a piece of art. And it would be fun to do. So these straps are proving to be as difficult as I thought they would be. And I'm dreading them. So, doing as best a job as I can with them, but they're super tricky. There we go. So, all right. And there's a lot of them too. It's almost like if I was a better, here's a thing where if I was a better artist, if I had Bull's artistic talent, I would be making some of these straps one color and some of them a different color, you know, assuming that, you know, some of them are holding the bundles together and, you know, some of them are holding them on the horse. But I'm just doing them all the same color because what do I know? I am not as artistic as I would like to be. There we go. So, just looking and seeing how I want to go about this. Like this is obviously a piece of rope, and this is obviously a strap. And so the strap should be leather, and the rope should be not. But right now they're both the same color brown. And so are the ones on this package. This is going to be a lot of painting for two little figures, that's for sure. Kind of wish these had less straps on them. There we go. That's not bad around that one. The darkness kind of hid some seams. Forgive my sins by being dark and hiding, you know, the overspill. All right, that looks as good as it's gonna get. There we go. This rope, all that, and I'm not only done with the first pack. There's two of these big ones in every horse. Oh, that's not terrible. Okay. One more. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that if I ever did one of those, terrain things, I would kind of keep it secret to myself until they had some big contest I could submit it for. And, wow people with it. It'd be neat to, put a can of Coke or, next to it and, have people see how small it is and then have a big, a zoomed in picture and see how detailed it is. I would doubt that anyone has made any. I've seen people make a lot of cosplay. I've seen people make some art. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone do any, custom made miniatures and terrain for BDO. Other than, people they've hired out to do, swag, for them to sell and stuff. Well, maybe I've just missed it. I don't follow their Twitter all that much, so. It would be neat. So when those dry, I'm just taking a quick look at them to make sure I didn't miss anything here. When these dry, I will probably come back in with the original color, the tan color, and do a little touch up here and there. Anything I don't think is, up to spec. That's just part of the way it is. I paint by numbers when things get this small and skinny. Gets a little less accurate. All right, life has some nice blessings for me. This package has one strap on it. That's nice. That's good. So, and so I only have to do the one strap. That's nice. Actually, I lied. It looks like there's another one here. It's just the molding on top isn't all that great. So I'm going to paint it in. Make it look right. Try not to paint the ear of the horse as I do it. There we go. And I suppose if there's one on this side, it's probably not out of the realm of possibility that it's molded on the other side. It doesn't look like there is. It looks like there's two straps. It's weird. But weird is good. Different is good. So, yeah, coming to life. I totally understand what you mean. Totally understand what you mean. So, all right. Am I going to go up top? Yeah, so we're going to go up top next. So, this looks like it's got a crisscross of 6 ropes. That's nice. So I'm gonna come in here as delicately as I can and try to, there we go, try not to mess it up. So, yeah, I got what you meant, Loopy. I typo all the time, and by the time I correct it, someone's already understood what I meant. These streams are like that way. You're trying to get your point across, and you're like, nope, that's not what I meant. And if you're on your phone, autocorrect always hoses you. So, there's that. So, I like that. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just seeing where the next rope is. I think this is the next rope. I'm trying to do them in a systematic fashion so I don't miss any. Going around it in a circle, but I probably also could have done each one up and over. That would have been okay too. So yeah, Loopy, the other thing that Pepsi Cap does is it gives me a place to clean the extra paint off my brush so there's just the right amount of paint. A lot of painters will paint on the back of their hand. Some of them wear a glove and some of them don't. The ones that don't, it's acrylic paint, it's water soluble, it's non-toxic, it's fine, but it always triggers me. I'm like, because I see it and I'm like, wow, you're painting on yourself. And it's fine, like I said, it's just efficiency. But I can do that right here and not be painting on myself, so I'll do it right there on the base. And if I'm careful about not grabbing the top of the pop cap, and it will be fine. So I kind of got the brush sideways on that, and that didn't really do a good job. So Bull's been slacking. Seeing the paint on stream cam would get very distracting on your hand. Yeah, I actually am not looking. I have to look over to my left to see what people type, and so I take a couple brush strokes. I look up. You certainly couldn't do both. You know, maybe a super pro streamer might be able to get like a Google Glass and have a heads up, but I would think that even that would be artistically impossible. You know, you're kind of mixing your left and your right brain there, and neither one of them are going to work very well under that situation unless you're some kind of special person, has special, you know, two half brain talent. This is the best movie ever. That's Mrs. AJ's mini painting. Thank you, honey. So Loopy said 07 to you in the chat the other day. That's a character salute. So when you see 07, yeah, that's a wave that he got there. So that's an emoticon for a wave he gave you. So you can wave him back or smile him back if you want. And there is a little smiley face on the side of the chat window you can actually click on and get a graphic smiley emoji too. And if you do one that it recognizes, it'll interpret it. There you go. There's the tongue sticking out that Loopy had. So she's shilling for her partner here, giving me an extra follow, getting that average up for me. If I average 3, I can actually be a person on Twitch. So it's gonna be a while before that happens, but it's nice to have you guys in here to talk to and motivate me to finish these donkeys. So that package looks pretty good. That package looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. I guess I'm going to do darker straps on this top one or lighter straps, but this color isn't going to work. So I'm just going to drop down to the green one here. It's got one generous strap, so that's nice. I don't have to worry about too much on that one. And I don't expect Miss AJ's Wargaming to watch too much of this. She hears me plenty and sees me paint plenty, so. But it's nice to have you here, baby. You found the hi guys salute, didn't you? Now, eventually, if I get enough stuff going on the stream, I can make my own emotes. And I don't know what those are going to be yet. Something miniatures related. And who knows? Probably something Revolutionary War related. That's this area of the country. It's one of my favorite periods. So I got a friend whose wife did a three-cornered hat for him for something he did. I might see if he'll let me borrow that and modify it, or maybe I'll go on to Fiverr and pay a graphic artist a few bucks, or maybe Bull. Maybe I can contract Bull to make me an icon. There's some ladies. So. No, we don't need to force anybody. Like I said, I'm not in a hurry to make this a thing. I'm just doing it because it's nice to have someone to chat to when I paint. It doesn't have to be a big deal. I'm not going to quit my day job, that's for sure. As much as I'd like to. I mean, a professional miniature painter would be fun, but I'm not good enough. I have fun, but the quality of the paint streamers on Twitch is amazing. There are some just amazing painters with better personalities and better painting skills than me. So I'm always going to be a have fun guy here. Happy to be that far. I have no illusions of grandeur. Everybody would like to be a professional gaming streamer, and very few make it in that realm too. It's a long road. We've got some guys in our club that have the gaming skills, but it's still hard to get the followers, and it's kind of like, becoming a hit record. There's a lot of great musicians that never have a hit record because they just don't get seen, they don't get found. Same thing with writing a bestseller novel. So, you gotta have fun with it, and if you have fun with it, and if it happens, great, and if it doesn't, oh well. I mean, look at the guy who did Game of Thrones. I mean, he was shipping away as an okay starving artist, and then his his novel hit with HBO, and boom. Harry Potter lady was, writing novels, and her stuff took off like a rocket. And there's an artist that I really love. His name's Lawrence Watt Evans. He does fantasy novels that are as good as Harry Potter or Game of Thrones. And he's a good artist. He makes a living at it, but he's not a millionaire like those other two. So nice if he was. I love his work. If I was Bill Gates, I would certainly be supporting his work a little more. Best I can do is buy his books, Yeah, it's a lot of work. So you can't stream. You can't do stuff to stream. You've got to stream the stuff you love. Like I said, I'm already spending time down here at this painting table, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 12 hours a week, depending on the week. So for me, it's just turn on the camera, be the only difference. But I certainly wouldn't want to make it that, I'm only doing this because it's a stream. I used to sell model airplanes that I designed, and I have to be honest, I love doing it, but it took some of the fun out of the hobby. Some of the fun was lost because instead of exploring new areas, I had to keep perfecting my art in the one area that people expected me to be an expert at. So, eventually that kind of petered out, mainly because I couldn't get the materials I needed to make the models I wanted to make. The windmill industry is taking all the balsa wood, and the full-scale airplane, this Boeing, aircraft, are taking away all the carbon fiber products, and it's very hard for hobbyists to get those things in the right qualities. Yeah, I do too. And after streaming miniature painting, I have a newfound respect for people that stream miniature painting, because it is harder to paint on stream. You've got to hold this miniature in this little box, and that's sometimes that's not the most convenient place to get the paint on the model. Sometimes I'd like to hold the model like this and hunch my head over, but you'd be seeing the back of my head, and it's out of frame. See, there it goes, see the back of my head. And it just doesn't work. So I survived it. All the straps on that guy except this box are done, and this box I'm not going to go with the black straps. I'm going to go with a lighter color. So what I think I'll do is I'll pull out, I've got a nice warm ochre. So it's exactly the color, let me find it here. It's exactly the color that this pack is made out of. I'm going to make the straps out of that. It'll tie it together. So it's just called German Camo Orange Ochre. It's a World War II jacket color from SS camo pattern. So the Nazis wore this, but I am going to, I'm going to just use it as a light leather or a twine or whatever we want to call it. So I need to get some paint off this brush. Okay. So let me see here. I'll start here, I guess. These lines are very faint. I'm almost drawing them on. They're almost not existent. See, when there's some raised detail on a figure, you can usually use that to, your brush will hit the top of that before it hits the thing beside it. But when they're in a groove like this, it's very hard to get the paint where you want it. And so you got to be super careful. So. No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, they could have spared a few ropes, huh? Are they shipping rope and they're just using the packages to hold the rope? Here's the deal. The sculptor, wanted an interesting model, and I compliment the sculptor on making an interesting model. I mean, this is a neat model, and when it's painted, it's going to look awesome. But yeah, they didn't skimp on the ropes. They did not skimp on the ropes. And when I bought the model, I said, wow, I like that model. I fell for it, right? The sculptor fooled me. And now I'm painting all these ropes and I'm thinking, what was I thinking? Yeah, the So I don't know where this rope goes. It comes here and then it doesn't sculpt down. I guess I'm gonna pretend it. Oh, I guess I'm gonna pretend it goes down this corner. Because that rope, he sculpted and it doesn't go anywhere. That's the downside of having a sculpted figure, right? Yeah, shipping, exactly. You know, the boxes are there just to hold the rope. That's what I'm thinking. You know, it's like, we need something to ship this rope in. Well, just wind it around that box. It's got to go there anyways. All right, I'm going to try to get all of these in one pass. Well, I've got this model tilted in my hand. There we go. And that one. And that one. And because they're, you know, they're pretty close to the same color, I'm not being too worried about, you know, super defining these lines. I'm just getting a hint of them in here. And that is making it a slightly easier. Like, see, this rope is sticking up. I can literally let my brush just hit the high point of that and it will ride along it. And if it was a higher contrast situation, I'd want to get the paint all the way down the side of it, but that's fine. And, you know, so then we're good. And that looks just fine. I get a super kick out of it. I said to my wife, I said, you could make a handle on Twitch and you could be Mrs. AJ's Wargaming Painting. And that's what she did. And that was hilarious. She's a good sport. So, Mrs. AJ's Wargaming Painting just became a doctor. She became a doctor of education. Got her PhD. She's been working real hard on that. So I am super proud of her. She's the smart one in the family. And isn't that always the case, right? So I'll be able to tell if she's listening to me by if she comes down and gives me a kiss. So, but I hear she's making gumbo. We're getting snowed in, and she wanted soup, so she's making gumbo. Lori went to college down south, so she's all about the gumbo. So, all right, well, that's not too bad. Oh, no. There's more rope. There's more rope. It's in here. Got the vertical ones. So, yeah, I'll pass that along. I don't think she's listening. She came to give me the show follow, I think. In fact, yeah, I think she came and left. She just came to pop the follow on and then leave. So, actually, I forgot. I can tap a button and see. No, she's still here. She's still here. So, there we go. Gumbo, yeah. Yeah, she makes she makes a roux, and when it's actually time for it, she goes all out and gets shrimp and andouille sausage and the whole bit. I think today it's just shrimp gumbo, so I don't think it's shrimp and sausage. Actually, no, I saw sausage in the fridge. It might be shrimp and sausage. But yeah, when we travel down south, she's always looking for fresh crawdads or crayfish or whatever they call them in Louisiana. And we go to Florida, so they don't always have them in Florida, but when they do, she'll check the Facebook and she'll travel halfway across the state if they got fresh crayfish. We'll go for a mess. I like them all right. I grew up in the seacoast, so I just consider them more seafood, even though they're fresh water. They're just little lobsters. So, all right, so that's pretty good. It looks like it's good enough. While I've got this light color on my brush, I'm going to go find, I know I had, yeah, there it is. I had one of those same color packs on this mule. So I'm going to skip over to the other mule just for this pack. And get it. Yeah, that's what it is. Crawfish, right. And I knew that. Yeah, we were actually having a discussion. Where we live, there's 3 varieties of crawfish. They call them crayfish here. But to the best of my knowledge, because I remember catching them as a kid growing up, to the best of my knowledge, there's no stillwater varieties. I think they're all river varieties. And, of course, down south, they're bayou fish. So, well, fish, crustaceans. And there's another one right there. I can put the strap on. And so, bayou isn't still water. Well, there's still water, but it's not, moving water like it is up here. All right, so I'm just going to put the strap in this one. And I think there's, right here. I missed one right here. There's a strap right in there. So this model, though, every time you look at it, you find something new, and that's kind of fun. And it looks like that's pretty good. Pretty good. And I see a little spot behind this mule's ear that needs a little bit of love. So I'm going to get a little bit of this wash right here. There's a little white spot right there. And so I'm going to move that around and darken it up. There we go. Not bad. And there's another one right here. So darken that up. Sorry, I pulled that close to my face. You missed all that. I had to do some fine work. So I was putting a little bit of fixer up. I found a couple spots that needed some detail work. All right. And that's one. And now we get to do it again. So I'm just going to freshen up my brush, freshen up my water and my paint. Make sure it's nice and thin. I'm going to clean my brush off so I don't have a lot of gunky paint in it. And here we go. So back to the dark color. So how was everybody's Thanksgiving? In the sticks at the time. Yep. So we had Thanksgiving yesterday. I'm sorry, we had Thanksgiving on Friday. I can't believe yesterday already happened. Saturday already happened. We had Thanksgiving on Friday, and so we ate late, but that means we've got more leftovers, as we have leftovers for a day later in our leftover eating. So I'm still eating turkey sandwiches. Good. Yeah, we had it a day late so that we could have everybody here. So it was really special. My father came up with his wife. Lori's parents came up with, both of them came up, and then my brother-in-law came up with his wife, and it was great. I enjoyed having everybody here. It was kind of a treat. So can't beat that. The greatest thing about Thanksgiving is it's for everybody. Everybody here. You don't even have to be a Native American. Doesn't matter what religion you are. You don't have to have a religious Thanksgiving. If you're not religious, you just get together with your family and eat and visit. Yeah. It's you can't beat it. Yeah. Holiday dedicated to gluttony. That's not bad. Everything in moderation, including moderation. Thanksgiving is one of those days where moderation goes out of them. Yeah, I agree. I love turkey sandwiches, and you know what? You can't get, everybody will call their deli turkey roast turkey. There's very few places that have actual roast turkey that wasn't done somewhere else. And when you have it done in-house, pulled or sliced off the bird chunks, not sliced on a deli slicer, it tastes different and it's better. We get here, you can buy those chicken breasts pre-made at the grocery store. Our grocery also does turkey, and we get the turkey a lot, and we'll eat it for 3 days. Because a turkey breast for 2 of us. There's 2 of us, no kids. That's a hot meal. And it's a leftover lunch for her. And it's dinner for both of us the next day. And then usually if we're clever and we get it on like a Thursday, it's also lunches for me all weekend. So good with that. So I think this one, oh, I got a mid-tone bag on the other side. I remember I didn't have these the same, but I think that mid-tone bag will take this leather just fine. I think it's probably blocking your view. Yeah, it is a little bit, but I had to again, I just had to be able to see it. So, yeah, some streamers have headphones and they can hear it when, they play music in their stream, and I need to do that. I need to get music set up so people aren't bored. But they play music in their stream, and then, there's alerts and stuff that happen when people join. And I'm wondering for art streams like this, how they hear those, but they don't hear their own voice. They can't just listen to their stream. There's got to be a mixer thing. So I've got to learn how to do that, because I'd like to have it, announce when people follow, and, so I can thank them and stuff like that. So if the woman is watching, I learned to cook down south, and she might like this idea. Jerk the turkey with mayo. Other stuff can be too greasy, and then get dried stuffing, like the box stuff, pack it in the turkey, and then after cooking, it's almost done. Yep. Yeah, I think you told me about the mayo thing one time in chat. I should talk to her about that. And I love mayo. My diet is a low carb diet, but I can have all the mayo I want, and it is good for my diet because it has a good amount of fat in it. On the keto diet, you need to have a certain amount of fat in your diet for it to work. So mayo is my friend. Mayo and eggs. I eat a lot of mayo and eggs. Not together. That sounds gross. So yeah, rub. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, we did do a season mix rubbed on. We did do that, and with a rub of oil on the outside. And I tell you, the turkey came out perfect. It's nice and moist. It's it's good when it's still moist as leftovers. That's when you know you didn't mess it up. And ours is still moist as leftovers. So yeah, I've seen mayo in cake recipes. It's like a secret weapon. I mean, if you think about it, it's eggs and oil, and emulsified. And oil, fat tastes good. Fat carries flavor. Fat moisturizes, and eggs are a binder, right? So, it's all good. Nothing wrong with that. So. Well, that's a skill you want to have. That's a first world problem when you can't make a dried bird. A dry bird is not preferable. We got a barbecue place here nearby, and everything on their menu is really good. I mean, they make it every day, and it's variable quality. Sometimes it's amazing, and sometimes it's just excellent, but it's always good. And everything on the menu is amazing, except they do the turkey breast, and they do it skinless, and that can be great or bad. They can make it too dry in the smoker because they put it in overnight, and if the skin was on, it would baste itself with its fat, but it doesn't. So sometimes you go there, the turkey's great, and sometimes it's not. So I've just stuck with the ribs. Wait a minute, you make a wife without mixing? I mean, I'm sorry. Your wife says you make a bread. Tell me again. You make a cake without mixing. How does that work? Because I don't know how to make a cake without mixing. You mix your dries, you mix your wets. I've seen cakes that need to be not over mixed. I don't know of a cake that you can't mix. You are confusing me, my friend. You're talking crazy. So crazy. Instead of mixing the eggs and all that, the mayo is already... Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, so 2 of the ingredients are mixed, your eggs and your oil. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, now, I used to not like vinegar in anything except Italian dressing. And then, later in life, I discovered hot sauces. And I still don't like straight, regular, standard Tabasco. I think it's got too much vinegar in it. But I like Frank's Red Hot. I like Tabasco's Chipotle flavor. Those are vinegary sauces. And, you can convince me to put vinegar in some things when I cook them. Especially, like Asian dishes. But I'm not a balsamic fan. Let me say that, not New England style. I'm not a big fan of heavy vinegar flavors on their own. Apple cider vinegar is preferable to red wine or balsamic for me. In like a brine. What is GPA? You keep using this GPA, and I have a feeling it's like a cooking show or something. I mean, I knew grade point average, that's GPA. Working at an educational institution taught me that. Oh, your grandpa. All right. Well, nothing wrong with having a grandfather that cooks. My grandfather was 1/16 Native American, actually Canadian First Nation. And he taught me how to walk in the woods, how to hunt, not with a bow and arrow, he had a gun. Taught me how to bird hunt, taught me how to do some bushcraft, a little bit, not much when I was younger. The biggest thing he taught me is how to not take anything too seriously and not to take other people's intentions or actions too seriously. I would always, when I go to visit him, I'd say, "Gee, Gramps, I haven't seen you in a long time, and I'm feeling guilty about that." I was a teenager and a young adult at the time, and I had my first apartment, my first house. And you say, "Listen, AJ, you got to live your own life. I get it. I was your age once too." And I always loved him for forgiving me for that, and I always regretted not spending more time with him. So I envy you for having so many great memories. I mean, I got plenty, but I could always have more. Yeah, I'm the same way when I get talking in this. At some point when I get my streaming rig set up, I'm gonna be able to have in my Discord a place where approved friends can come in and talk voice and have it go over the stream. Mainly for my friends that paint, but people like you that I want to have a conversation with that people might find interesting. Might do that. I'll have a chatting and painting stream. My friend calls it what does he call it when we all get together and paint? He calls it a coffee clutch, a painting coffee clutch, where maybe my other friends aren't are watching the stream on the tablet. Maybe they're in Europe. Maybe they're new friends I've met on the internet, and they don't want to stream, but they want to shoot the shit while they stream and watch me paint and comment on stuff. I think that'd be fun. It does look like a trash bag, man. You're right. I need to do something about that. Here's the deal. this one could look like a pumpkin, right? And so I was trying to stay away from pumpkin, so I went with something dark, and you're right. But here's one thing that you might not know about. It also looks like oilcloth. And so oilcloth is something they did where they would take canvas and impregnate it with tar to make it waterproof. And so I'm going with oilcloth, but you're right. It does look a lot like a Glad bag. If it continues to look that way and I continue to hate it, I might eventually, add some blue to it or something. Glad lock. But yeah, I totally get that, and I appreciate the feedback, and I do not disagree. I think you're spot on. It looks a little like a Glad bag, and I was going for dark. I had a lighter blue out. I think something that I can do to make it look less like a trash bag is I could color it with a slightly different highlight color. The problem is this oilcloth looks exactly like a trash bag. It's black, sharp, and shiny. So if I repaint it, I might have to go a completely different color. I could do that. We'll see if I hate it. That's the nice thing about miniatures is you put the paint on light enough, you can always paint over it again. Nothing is permanent. And if you really don't like it, you dunk it in a bucket of simple green. You come back the next day later and scrub it with a toothbrush and start over. There is no saying no. I see what's going on here. I figured out where that strap went on that other side. They twist together, so they go the same place. I made a little bit of a mess of that. I'm not super happy with that. So I'm going to come back and do some cleanup in a little bit and clean up these light ones that I've spilled over on. That is another nice thing about painting is you can fix your mistakes. So I heard something on a Twitch streamer that I like. He's a blacksmith. His name's Alex Steele, and he does blacksmithing videos. He's a young guy, and he's a Brit, and he came over and he's making videos on Montana, and he makes blacksmithing videos. He makes knives and swords and whatever. He made a carving knife and a carving fork for Thanksgiving, for his Thanksgiving period video. And he has a thing he says blacksmithing. I'll just let my arms down for a second. My hand fell asleep. He says blacksmithing is one of the only times where if you make a mistake, the best way to fix it is to hit it with a hammer. A lot of other things you hit with a hammer to fix, but it's not the best way. So, kind of instantly made me want to take up blacksmithing. Oh, yeah, I'm streaming, so I'm going to miss the bell. You guys have fun. Did he just spawn? Yeah. All right, well, you get some. Good luck on the heart. Hope you get it. Oh. To add some water to this paint. It's getting a little thick. I'm not using a wet palette because I'm doing all this pot blending. Yeah, that's fine. I'll keep painting. You gotta paint even when people are not chatting. It's fine. All right. Yeah, this one here is a little problematic. I'm gonna have to do some touch-up work on it. That's fine. Try to be as good as I can. Part of it might just be fatigue. I'm getting tired, making kind of a mess of this. My brush got a little wet. I had to dry it off. Now I'm doing better. All right. So we will definitely be doing some cleanup on these with the base color. That looks a little clunky. Okay, looks terrible. We will get it better. And think part of it was I wasn't very judicious with taking the extra paint off my liner brush here. All right, and I think I can get away with this on this one right here. That's fine. Oh, too much paint on my brush again. I keep doing that. All right. Home stretch. Oh, I just painted over something I already painted. That was silly. So. Okay, what's left? The last big pack. Here we go. All right, I don't like this color a lot. Actually, I think I'm changing my mind as I get it down there. I think I actually like this color just fine. All right, I'm gonna stick with this medium flat earth on this pack. Big straps look good, and I think if I'm careful with it, it will be nice and forgiving. So. Yeah, I have to admit, Loopy, I've kind of given up on the Vel drops. It's a lot of time commitment for maybe get something. All I ever get is crapola. So take what you get from Vel if you don't get the jackpot, and you can spend that time killing monsters and do better. But I get why people do it. They're chasing the big win. And it is a big win if you get his magical heart. Anyone in the guild get it? Chasing the dream, chasing the dream. Yeah, I hear you. I know people get it. We've seen it. Oh, okay. You're just heading out. That sounds good. Are you driving the boat? Oh, you guys are already there, right? Spawns in a half hour. You leave a character there, don't you? Just spawn in. All right, well that was easier. Okay, next up, fixing my mistakes. I'm going to dive back into the Glad Bag color. And that's one of the places where these mistakes were particularly visible. I had a couple that were bad. Right there, right there, and right there, and right here. So I'm running my brush up against the edge of this rope, and it's a little easier to paint within the lines. All right, that's a little less bad. It's pretty good. Okay, the trash bag is mostly fixed. All right, and then the other color I need to mix up is some Mojave white, which is what this color is, and it has just a touch of brown in it to darken it up. And I need to clean this brush. I think this brown will be fine. I don't need all of it. Some of that too. All right. There we go. Light it up with some water. Okay. Clean my brush off, clean the ferrule off because I just made a mess of it. I'm hard on my brushes. You know, people who watch the good streamers will look at me and say, what is he doing to his brush? That's why he can't buy good brushes. So, that's true. All right. Oil bag then. Yeah, no, I'm with you. It does. I had that same thought. You were. It's not untrue. It does look a little like a Glad bag. And you know, you kind of, when you're doing these historical things, you got to be careful of, you know, modern people have certain preconceived notions, and you want to think something is something like that, and that goes into picking your colors for sure. You know, you got to be careful combining your reds and your greens because everyone thinks it'll look like Christmas. You know, so you know, it's things like that. You gotta think in terms of moderns when you're painting historicals. And again, that's that color selection that I wish I was better at. I wish I was more like Bull. Had the artistic bent. I'm just a paint by numbers guy. So, but I'm getting there little by little. Learn how to use my color wheel. It's probably a term Bull's familiar with. You know, learning what's complementary and what's not, what's opposite. Alright, I'm looking over this pack, just seeing any places where the lines are not crisp. And I'm just going and let my brush run up against the straps to fix the lines. That looks a lot better. Now this bag wasn't bad, so it's pretty easy to fix. I've got a little bit of wash that spilled over on here. I'm gonna fix that. There we go. All right, and then that's that side. A little bit of spillover right there I want to fix. So I'm putting the paint on a tiny bit thicker than I would normally. So I'm trying to cover these dark mistakes. I'm being lazy. I want to do it in one shot. All right. Looks good. Could use a little fix up right there. It's not bad. Okay, so that pack looks a lot better. And this side here is the side where I got a little crazy. So we got to do a lot of fix-ups here. I was seriously crazy here. Same thing, the wash has got up on this too. Clean all the sins up. So my sloppy lining will look all nice in a second. Alright, so that's better. I don't hate that there. Clean it up here. So yeah, there's a big spot right there that's got to be fixed. There we go. And that spot right there that can be fixed. This isn't as bad as I thought it was when I was laying it down. Unless it's the other donkey that's the bad one. This is, alright, that's all the, I think that's all the cleanup I'm going to do on this one. Hey, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had a hiccup in the Wi-Fi down here in the basement. It happens from time to time. Something I'm going to have to look into at some point to figure out. We lost both my view of it. Luckily, my tablet also was on the same Wi-Fi, so when the stream crashes, my tablet crashes. So I know pretty much right away when it happens. Something I definitely have to fix. But I am back. So thanks for sticking with me. Appreciate it. So say something in chat if I'm back, just so I'm not paranoid. If you might. You're probably fighting your boss in your game. So don't worry about that. I can see it's back up and running. Sorry. So I'm still just cleaning up these straps where I got a little too much of the strap color in the recesses here. And then when I'm done, I'll get some highlighting and highlight the actual bags a little bit more, hit the highs, undo the washes that went in, make sure none of it pooled on the top. So I can smell the gumbo cooking. It's smelling good. Mrs. AJ's Wargaming Painting is she's doing her part to make our house a home. Making gumbo. So, in my belly. And I think gumbo, if I don't put it over rice, is probably going to be something I can have in my diet. So, let me give it a try. I think the only carbs in it are the roux. Because she puts the rice in after. You know, she puts it over rice, or so people can add the amount of rice they want. So, smelling good. There we go. Nice. So I need a little more stuff on my brush. All right, let's see here. Nice. All right. All right, just continuing the cleanup as best I can. So these ropes look crisp and they're not bleeding up onto the texture unnaturally. There we go. That looks good. Did okay in here. I don't want to do much cleanup here. Looks fine. A bit right there. Alright, I'm happy with those. I'm happy with those. Top of this pack. This is where it got all crazy on me. Had too much paint on my brush and messed this up. Something fierce. So let's do some serious cleanup here. Get this looking a little less amateur hour. Wow, man, it looks like I was drunk when I did this. So. There we go. That's better. That's better. Let's see. That. There we go. I like the way this liner brush paints, but I don't like that it doesn't hold a lot of paint. That's all right. That's all right. That's better. This triangle right here is giving me a little bit of trouble getting into. I keep strategizing on how I'm going to do it, but I guess I just have to do it. I said this triangle, I meant this one right here. Here I go. I guess that's as good as that gets. I'll have to live with that. I'm actually going to clean up the cleanup. I need just a little bit more of that flat earth though, right out. So let's clean up the cleanup. And sketch it in perfectly. There we go. All right. I can keep going around that. I will just keep making it worse. So we'll go back to the other cleanup. It's just too small with the way I'm shaking. All right. Yeah. Right there. And right there. Nice. A little bit right here. Oh yeah. Holy cow. What was I thinking? Hey. Yeah, I had a little internet hiccup. Sorry about that. I lost my Wi-Fi down here, and that's the only internet I have in the basement, so it just hiccups once in a while. I bought an extender, and at some point I'm gonna have to get a professional setup down here for networking. And what I got here is pretty tolerant, but it may not be stream tolerant. We'll see. Made it back from Val. You didn't get murdered. Usually we get murdered on the way back, don't we? I guess with Black Rose not chasing us anymore, it's less likely. Just have to avoid BDO Navy. So, all right. So I am happy with all these straps. So the next step is to do some highlights. So there's not much up you can go from this, but there is this. Pure white. I hate using pure white, so we're going to mix it 50-50 with what's left in here. And we're going to make a lighter version of Mojave white. And it's super, super light. And I just stirred that with my liner, which was a stupid thing to do. So let me put my liner down and grab a all-purpose brush. All right, so here's an all-purpose brush. We're going to take and very sparingly use this. You asked about texture earlier, Loopy. So now we're going to take this super light, and we're going to come in here and grab these high spots. And you'll just barely be able to see it. But it will, that's too much. It will definitely show up. And I want to water that down a little bit more. I'm getting too much pigment. There we go. There we go. So I'm just going to hit these high spots on the folds, these edges, and I'm going to hit anything I think would be like super prominent. And this also gives me another chance to come back and fix anything that isn't quite right. So, and that's, another thing that's nice about this sculpt is it's got a lot of detail in it. So there, so now I've highlighted just those few hints are all it takes to tell you there's texture here. And right there, right there, right there. So there we go. And grab an edge. It's not bad. Same thing here. I'm going to grab these bumps. Anything that's sticking out, I might grab catch the light. Nothing underneath. I don't want to, there's no sun hitting that. But, try to get these top sides best I can with some highlighting. So, yeah, that internet hiccup, I think booted a lot of people that were sort of not watching, but sort of watching, you know what I mean? I appreciate them dropping in though. It was awesome. Awesome. So, there we go. So, that's pretty good. So you asked about texture. So now I've just highlighted the texture a little bit, intentionally. Just gone in here and grabbed the stuff I thought would grab light. Same thing up here, a little more on the top. And I'll do the other areas of the pack, but with appropriate colors for each piece of it. So again, I'm gonna, with this white, try to be very judicious. Don't want to be using a ton of it, but enough. There we go. Nice. There we go. There's a little tan here, but this whole pack, except for maybe a couple spots, is hidden. The top side of it is not catching any light. So maybe a little bit right there, maybe a tiny bit right there, maybe this corner. Then up here we'll grab some. So we'll do this. It's a little bit in the shadow, so I'm not going to go into that deep recess, and we'll grab a little bit of this front edge. There. So that's the tan. I'm going to get start putting some paints away. I got to have my paints on my table here. I do like to show what paints I'm using. I think I'm done with the glaze for now. I'm done with the Mojave White. And so the next thing I want to do is I want to bring back the Ochre Brown that I used earlier for those packs. Do the same highlighting. So I'm going to put that back in the same pot it was in. And I'm going to use that. That's too bright now. I was gonna use that to lighten it up. Instead, I'm gonna use a little bit of Mojave White, which is a little grayer, warm gray. And so grab some water. So I'm gonna use this as my highlight color for that. Actually, I'm gonna grab a little bit of this. There we go. So again, same idea. I'm gonna mix it kind of thin. I'm going to go in and grab the high spots here. Need a little more paint. I'm going to grab the high spots here. Kind of undoing this yucky dry brushing I did yesterday. Use it as an undercoat. So there we go. That was a mistake. Clean that up with a clean brush. There we go. The two are different for sure. They're the same model. It was a 2-pack. I intentionally made them all. As soon as I get this highlight color done, I'll show you. I intentionally made them different because you look at loading up pack mules. Are they going to be the same? No. So you can see they're the same model, but you know, I've made the accoutrements on them, the stuff on them, slightly different, but they are the exact same model. And you know, they're slightly different color mules too, on purpose. You know, about the same. You know, they're brothers or something, or cousins, or you know, from the same breed, stock. But yeah, I intentionally made them not the same. All right, I want a little more light in that because I don't quite think it's light enough. So I'm gonna go up a notch here. And I've made a mess of that paint because it did dissolve the stuff underneath it, but I got the color I need. Okay, that's nice. So let's go and do it one more time. There we go, that's better. So I'm doing intentionally hitting these high spots on the top here. And a different color. So kind of answers a little bit of what you're saying about texture. Now if you mean faux texture, like make it look like stone and make it look like cloth, at this scale that's a little much. If I was doing if you're doing a bust or a big monster with scales on it or something, it might be worth it, but not for figures of this scale, for this type of figure. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Here we go. And that same color I used over on this one. So I'll use the same highlight color. And again, like that other one, just this corner kind of shows up. So we'll put a highlight color here, a little bit here, down the edges. And just this little bulge out on the back here. In this corner. Feeling generous. I'm going to do this edge too. Yeah. So just added some, something for your eye to grab. To highlight that a little bit. Okay, I'm not going to do the oil bag. I've already highlighted that enough. So the last thing I've got is, I've got this green, and this green, if I'm careful, I can probably come in here with this same tan and give it just a little touch. It's a complementary color to it. And yeah, that works fine. That salmon I can't do that with, but I think that salmon I can do with the white highlight here if I dirty it up a tiny bit. So I could mix a salmon highlight, but I think if I just nice and nah, that's too much. That is too much. There we go. I'll just highlight it like that. There we go. Actually, I don't like that. I'm going to come back here and redo the salmon. I'm going to make a proper salmon highlight color. So there's the salmon, my palette, and there's some white, and we'll lighten it up. And we'll lighten it up. Take it all. There we go. So this salmon color, Meat Saw picked last night. I want to do it justice so when he sees it, he's wowed by it. So we'll grab this edge, grab that edge right there, this lump here. And then there's a wrinkle right here, there's a wrinkle right there, and this is on the top, so we're going to do all those and this front edge. Yeah. Good. I did it justice. Meat Saw won't hate me now. While I'm here, I can do a little cleanup. Right there. There. So that's seems like a lot of work, but I think that's worth it. And then we've got this dark blue and that brown. So the dark blue was this dark abyssal blue, and I'm just going to go straight out of the pot and grab a flat blue, just a nice medium blue, and I'm going to put that on the palette. And I think it's probably going to be light enough on its own that I don't have to do anything but loosen it up. And that should be a fine highlight color for this. But actually, it's not. The abyssal blue is a different color, so we're going to put a little bit in. Abyssal blue has a green tone in it, so we're going to mix them up so it isn't the wrong color. It's just a lighter version of it. There we go. Now it's a lighter color of abyssal blue. So that's a good trick, you know, if you're trying to make a highlight color, you know, and it doesn't fit, blend the two together. Wow, what did I do to my brush? Blend the two together, and that's going to give you something halfway between. Yeah, that's not bad. I like that quite a bit, actually. I've got a brighter, lighter abyssal blue. All right, that's not so bad. A little bit on the end here. And this brown pack, I already highlighted it once, but I think I'd like to do it again. So I'm just cleaning my brush, and I believe that this is chocolate brown, and I can probably just use this flat earth. I think that's what I highlighted with the first time as a highlight color, because that's the color of these straps here, but not those straps. So, no, it's not quite light enough. So I'll get some, no, it's a mess. I'll use some Mojave and put it in there. So chocolate brown, Mojave. That should be all I need. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, there we go. And again, I've done this, so I'm just going over it again. So, oh yeah, no problem, Lippy. I'm just here painting. If you're here, you're here. If you're not, you're not. Appreciate it when you are, and when you're not, it's not a problem. You got a life to lead. I was just saying that you were asking about texture. I don't know if you heard me, but I'm highlighting high points. I'm not really doing texture per se, and but similar. Now I've got an ankle on this guy that I keep touching every time I grab the figure really hard, and I've rubbed off that. And the same thing with his forelock here. And I've got the same thing back here and the tail. And so I'm going to mix up the colors that I painted those in and fix that. Because these guys are just about done. I'm going to let them dry for a bit. I'm going to come back over them after I sleep on it a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to water this down and This is the hoof color. I'm going to put that in first. Actually, the hoofs were much blacker and this was much redder. So let me put some red in here. And the hoofs were black. So I need some black in my palette for the hooves. Alright, so let's get the red brown in here for the horses. That's not the right color. Alright, let's make it for real. I tried to fake it. This is the original color. And this was the original mixed color in it. Don't fake it. Do it the right way. Hey, that looks like a closer match, doesn't it? So what I'm doing here is putting the base color down first. And this had a bunch of brown washes on it, so I'm going to have to, or black and brown washes on it, so I'm going to, when I do the hose, I'll do that. And then, again, this is my fault here that I rubbed it. So we'll fix him up. It's not bad. Again, it needs a little black, but that's not bad. And yeah, that's good. Go back to the glaze for a second. There's a but not that much. There's a spot right in here that got funky. I want to just put the glaze in there, and I don't want to change this color too much, but I want to darken it up on each side of this a little bit. There we go. That's good. I like that better. And same thing here. The shoulder was giving me trouble yesterday, so we'll give it one final glaze. And same thing for the neck. Ooh, that's too much. Spread that around, it'll be fine. There we go. All right. One last glaze of the ears. I'm doing this off camera because I'm trying to see it. Yeah, one last glaze of the ears. And behind the ears. And that's pretty good. This ankle, same thing, we get a little more glaze. There, that's not bad, I kind of like that. This isn't really a glaze, it's a heavy wash. It's thickened up on purpose. We're laying the color in here where it was needed. Nice. Did I? There we go. Oh. That's not bad. All right, so I went off camera there to do some detail work. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. Try to do it on camera best I can. I'm just going through and finding any spots that I messed up. Like I know that tail's messed up, but I've got a black wash coming in that will fix that. So there's a little tiny What is that? A little tiny triangle here that can be a little darker. And underneath too. We'll blend it. Same thing and blend it, blend it, blend it. Same thing on the neck. I'm just blending in a little extra color in places that I think are a little weak. All right, that looks good for the brown. I need to hit the ears. All right. So the last thing is a black glaze. So I'm gonna take some glaze medium. I don't need very much of it. Just need to get the backs of those two hooves I messed up. So a little bit of black, a little bit of glaze. This is really a black wash, not a glaze. It's way heavy in pigment, but it'll be fine. So back here. Yeah, that's good. That's what I want. That one's fine. Again, grab that. That looks fine. That's nice. And the tip of the tail, I'm going to put actual black paint on because that's going to get rubbed by every person that touches the figure, so it won't hurt to have a little extra pigment on it. There we go. All right, and again, full color on the tail tip. It's going to get rubbed. Then hooves. Okay, so they look pretty good. I got a couple more things I need to do. And one of them is get the bases ready for the basing. And that I use a nice big fat brush for. And I'm going to clean some space off of my palette because it's starting to get overflowed. So give me a second. There we go. Normally I would run upstairs and clean that, but for this I think we're okay. We're just using some olive drab. Nice big bucket of it. And nice big fat brush. I've done some basing lately. There's some past streams. There's my wargaming blog. You can see them. So I don't do these Warhammer style. I'm going to base them up with some grass flocking. And so what I like to do before I do that is get the bases around the hooves green, so that when the flocking comes in, it looks natural underneath. It looks grassy. I paint my wooden bases green too to start. And so as long as I put enough glue up on this base, the whole thing looks like a contiguous thing. And again, that's basing for expedience because you're doing hundreds of them. I like them all to match. If I was only doing a single figure, I could do a nice terrained base, but it's not the wargaming style. So I'm just going to get this green paint down, and while I'm waiting to base them, I'll leave them on these pop caps until I'm ready to base them, just so they don't fall over. And who knows, I'll make it some inspiration when I'm off stream to come in here and do some additional shading and detail work. I can crank my head over the figure and get, right up close to it. I just blew it to pop any bubbles that were in the paint. I'm laying this paint down like I'm painting a house, so that's pretty good. Same thing again on this one. There we go. And nice. Let's see here. Good. 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 These look nice textured bases too. There are a lot of bases that are for wargaming figures are just flat. You've got to add some sand or something to texture them. These have got a little bit of ground texture on them. I might be tempted to make these look like they're on rocky terrain or a road. Actually, I'm very tempted to put them on a base with some dirt road on it. Alright, so I'm going to do a final showcase here and see if I can get them in focus and camera here. So there they are. Two pack mules. And I got some harsh lighting and they don't quite show off as well, but I'm happy with them. Not too bad. Done on stream. First completed painted units on stream. Not a lot of basing, but first things I've completed. So I appreciate everyone for stopping by. Loopy, you've been great in chat. Thank you. And let me just, while I'm here, I will thank Dinu, Lupix, Lurix, Mrs. AJ's Wargaming, Snowknown, Sword Go Clang, and Waza. So thanks, Bull. Sword Go Clang, I know that's you. And what I'm going to do is I am going to do my first raid because I actually have people. And you guys will head over, and then it's completely okay if you